welcome to LTV News. I'm Madison Elliott, and we've got quite the show for you today as we touch on the latest news surrounding the Ebola scare, report Oscar Pistorius' verdict, and treat you to a chat with a LaSalle student and part-time filmmaker. But first, let's check out what's happened at LaSalle these past few weeks. LaSalle took a look at life behind the bars of justice when it hosted a panel discussion on Thursday, October 23rd, called Prison Nation. 4 Philly activists came to talk about prison inmates' life, what life is like after prison, and why many turn back to crime. Guest speaker Marla Davis Bellamy spoke on behalf of the Philadelphia organization called Ceasefire, whose job it is to work closely with high-risk young people in the area of North Philly. Ceasefire mentors these ex-men with ex-convicts, and the program has helped decrease the homicide rate in North Philadelphia by an astonishing 42%. 2 other panelists were ex-convicts themselves who gave their take on the vicious circle of crime and life after prison. They highlighted another program, the End Crime Project, which aims to prevent a return to jail for recently released convicts. On Saturday, October 26th, LaSalle hosted its annual Be Positive Panhellenic Halloween Walk. Pumpkin painting, face painting, raffles, music, and more entertained all who attended the event. With the help of their inter-fraternity sorority council, as well as all of the fraternities, sororities, and numerous donators, $970 were raised solely at the walk, making the grand total over $14,700 donated to the Be Positive Foundation and the battle against childhood cancer. However, this amount is still a few $1,000s shy of the $20,000 goal. IFCSC will be hosting at least 2 more events to hopefully fulfill their ambitious grand total. One hot topic that has students and faculty talking is the recent threat of Ebola. To ease the minds of the LaSallian community, an authority on Ebola and disease control visited the campus to straighten things out. Steve Graham has the coverage.
What is Ebola? What is Ebola?
On Thursday, October 23rd, students and faculty of LaSalle University packed themselves into the Dandelion Theater to learn about the health buzz on the street. Dr. Randall Heyer, the Deputy Director for the Center for Risk Communication, took the stage and gave a talk on the threat of the Ebola virus across the world to a standing room only audience. Heyer explained to the audience what Ebola really is and its history tracing back to the early 1970s. The event also covered the symptoms, how a person contracts the disease, and the steps the United States is taking to ensure our safety.
Sure, that's a great question. That's been talked about a lot, and it's been whipped up, I think, in the press. It's very unlikely that this virus will gain airborne transmission. And why?
Students and faculty got the chance to get their questions answered by Dr. Heyer after his presentation. Heyer explained the possibilities of a cure and the scientific details behind the Ebola virus. I got the chance to speak with Dr. Heyer on the U.S.'s approach in controlling the health crisis.
I think the media has an important role to play in this, in helping give accurate and informed information to the public. And I think the media has to get accurate information from officials and other people who are talking about the disease. I think that process is evolving, and I think that we have some room to work, but I think that they'll ultimately do a very good job. We actually have seen in this country, in previous epidemics, new diseases like SARS or avian flu or H1N1 in recent memory, the media actually did rise to the occasion rather well. So I think it's a process. Remember, this is unprecedented. This has never happened before. So we're talking about, that puts it in a different category. But I'm confident they'll rise to the occasion.
And now that the media side, and we see the government has now, there's Ebola czar named, there's some flights canceled to West Africa. Do you think they're taking the necessary action, or is there more? There's only 3 known cases and 1 death. Are we putting not enough money into it? Should there be more money to research?
I think our effort really does need to be focused on helping those 3 countries right now, because that's where the fire is. And I think it's actually in our interest to contain this outbreak in West Africa.
Yeah, because there's so many people coming to the United States. So.
Yeah, and if they'll come other ways. We're a pretty open society.
Yeah.
And that's just who we are. And so, I think that's something we need to be aware of. So I actually think it's in our interest to work with our international partners, work the great job that CDC is doing in West Africa or our military now. I think we need to support that. And I think we need to work with the people in those countries and together and put out the fire.
Up next, Corey Meredith will bring you news from the great city of Philadelphia. But first, it's that time of show in which our very own Brendan Rigney attempts to smooth talk fellow LaSalle students and community members. Let's see how he did it in his latest interview with biology major, filmmaker, and friend Anson Marsh.
Hello and welcome to another interview segment on LTV News. Brendan Rigney here, alongside of me, dear friend, colleague, kind of a rival now, Anson Marsh. Anson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic.
Fantastic, very
I'm
good.
doing absolutely
very
fantastic
good.
right now. It's
Perfect.
a pleasure to have you on.
I'm glad to be here.
I hope so. I mean,
yeah.
I truly hope so. We're just gonna get right to the nitty-gritty movies.
Right to it.
Right to it.
All right, let me brace myself here.
I, as well as anyone who knows you, is aware of your love and adoration for all things film.
It's an obsession.
Despite you're a bio major, but you're obsessed with film. I think that's so interesting, and I wish that I had the time to spend just making films. I'm so busy, and I'm envious of you. So, first confession of the day, right there. I want to talk about the movie that you made for Campus Movie Fest last semester called Even Split. Great film. It won, and it went out to got you guys to go out to LA, which sounds amazing.
A lot of fun.
I hope so.
Way too much fun. It was more,
spoilers. We're gonna get to that later.
All right.
Let's get to the movie first. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Of course.
So, can you just tell me about one of the biggest challenges that you had when you were making Even Split?
Well, everybody. Okay, so each character, and like with Wes and Luke and CJ, they have a lot of ego to them because, granted, they are very attractive, of course, but they've got a lot of ego to them, and they all think that they want to be in front of the camera and just have their shot, their moment. And so it was funny trying to balance all their ideas and come up with just one solid idea without all of them being the main character. And that was a little bit different for this one, and it was a little bit harder because they all managed to take up the spotlight in their own.
So they each wanted their 15 minutes of fame without realizing that the film itself
was only 5 minutes.
Was only 5.
Exactly.
Oh, well,
yeah. If you do the math on that, it doesn't really work out too
well.
well.
I'm a comm major. I don't know math too well, believe it or not.
Well, we got a pen and pencil. I mean,
yeah, I'll do the math
give
later.
you a lecture.
If anyone has a calculator, I could use that in a bit. So let's talk a little bit more about the movie. We have a clip of you at the very end. If we could show that when we get the chance. We have a clip at the very end. It's very, very theatrical, so cinematic. Where did you get the idea? Like, what was your inspiration, your film inspiration for this movie and for some of these shots?
Film inspiration. Some of these shots. There's a show called White Collar. And
I'm aware of the show. Yes, it's on USA.
Yes, and I absolutely love that show. But they have a lot of shots in there that incorporate like Steadicam work and a lot of dolly shots. And so there's a lot of movement going around. And with this shot in particular, I incorporated a lot of let's see, what's it called? Yeah, Ocean's movies. If you've seen those.
Yes.
Yeah, and so all of us are obsessed with the Ocean's movies. And I was like, we could just make something on lines of that. And so we knew the shots we wanted to do, and at the very end, we just wanted to have a nice closure without giving away too much, as if we wanted to continue it, I guess, either this year, but even though they graduated, but just to have like a little cliffhanger there.
No,
which would be
I
nice.
thought it was spectacular, some of the shots. You did a great job at making it dramatic with no dialogue, which is not the easiest thing to do. Trust me, I know. I tried, and I made the Nicholas Sparks-esque movie.
It was cute.
It was so cute. Was it good? Yeah, it was okay. But we're gonna. So let's talk about your next big idea. I don't want you to give away your secrets right now. I know
I can give you
you can
the
keep them on
whole
the DL.
synopsis and
but like, give me a
storyboard.
basic idea of what you want to do for this upcoming year.
Okay,
with your
so less characters because
Less
with this one or with the one last year, Even Split, we had way too many main characters, way too many people talking, and we just couldn't develop the characters like fast enough or soon enough. And so with this one, we're going to have one main character and then one or two main characters interacting with the main character, and having that develop throughout. And it's going to be log cabin based, maybe. That's an idea that we have throughout. Then also last year we didn't really have a dedicated writer, and so it was more of just Luke and myself bouncing off ideas and then creating a script off of that. And so now this year we have a dedicated writer, and so we'll bounce ideas off of him, and then he'll develop a script, and then I'll say yay or nay, or I'll tailor it to how I think it'd be interesting.
I mean, that sounds a lot better than what you had last year.
Ooh, ouch.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying.
No,
I just finished saying that your film was spectacular. But I remember we had a conversation off camera, of course, that you wanted to go from how great it was superficially, you wanted to delve deeper into the actual meaning behind the film.
Yes.
And that's what you're hoping to do this year, is what you're telling me. So that's where you're going to get the dedicated writer. Would that be one Matthew Fritz? Is that him and John? Is it John Hagee?
It is.
Oh, it is. It's Matthew.
Yeah,
okay.
but like because they understand depth with characters, where I'm just like, oh, I think this shot will look good, or I think this will look cool, and all that stuff. And I didn't even consider like depth of characters, which I should have taken into consideration, but I did not at all with the previous one. So this year you've got to look at shots, yes, which we can have this year definitely, and also depth of characters, which is key. So
it's hard to write complex characters, especially for a movie that's only 5 minutes long. So I understand what you mean by that. So we're going to start wrapping this up. Here's where we get into the weird questions that have nothing to do with what we've talked about.
Okay. All right.
First one is, what is your favorite word?
Favorite word?
What's your favorite word, Anson?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cattywampus.
Your favorite word is your favorite word is cattywampus?
Yes.
Can you give me a reason why? Is it just because it sounds funny?
Sounds funny.
Yeah. Is that the only reason why?
It's that, or yeah, no, it's that. Yeah. I was gonna give you something scientific, but that's not very funny. So
last episode we had my friend Tim Brubaker, who's a CC, on, and his favorite word was cerebral.
Cerebral.
Because of how it sounded,
a lot better
and
than
because of
mine.
what it meant.
Oh, wow.
And it just made me feel so dumb when he said it, which is ironic
Cerebral.
because
That's
it was
a
the word cerebral.
Word. Yeah.
Another word, another question I have for you.
Okay.
And this is really, just take your time with this one if you have to.
Okay.
If you were a tree,
If I was a tree,
what kind of tree would you be?
what kind of a tree would
What kind of tree would you be? I don't know tree breeds.
If I want to give back to the
But,
community, that's a key thing.
Oh, you want to give back to? Okay.
Or I don't know. See, if a very cool plant would be like the Venus flytrap, that would be awesome. That would really be awesome. Because they're one of a few plants that that really take in to consideration that they eat flies. Did you know that? They eat
I know.
flies.
It's called a Venus flytrap.
I don't know. You're a comm major. I'm not too sure if they can. No,
I said I was bad at math.
Yeah.
That's what I said. All right.
Well, I mean, you put 2 and 2 together. It's kind of math, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's a cool plant. So I can enjoy being on Venus flytrap. Or
all right,
pear,
that's
or
some
pear tree
eye-opening
or something
things.
like that.
I didn't even think about regular plants. So we're running out of time here. I'm gonna keep you on for a little bit more. We're gonna put up the rest of the interview on YouTube. That'll be up within the next couple days. But we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back with some more news for you. So stay tuned.
From our campus to the city of Philadelphia. Tune in and watch, because we know you will love LaSalle TV.
Hello and welcome back. Corey Meredith here. Let's talk Philly. For those that hope to bask in the fall spirit, Dilworth Park was host to its very first Oktoberfest that spanned the 18th, 23rd, and 25th. Patrons who attended were treated to live DJs, oversized game boards, and obligatory beer garden. Also on site were face painters sponsored by Zipcar, as well as science demonstrations from the Franklin Institute. The newly opened lawn at Dilworth was also a treat for parkgoers. The 23rd Annual Philadelphia Film Festival returned to the city from October 16th to the 26th. The festival brought in industry pros, students, film lovers, and others interested in the art. Categories for the festival range from Masters of Cinema, World Narratives, Documentaries, and American Indie Films. It kicked off with much anticipated movie Birdman in the Pearl Man Theater at the Kimmel Center. Later, the question and answer session was hosted by famous Carol Spinney, the voice of Sesame Street characters Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. Since 1969, this two-week festival proved to be a great success, bringing in many people from outside the city while providing the Philadelphia people with exposure to world-class films and filmmakers. Be sure to keep an eye out for other events hosted by the Philadelphia Film Society throughout the year. That's it for Philly news. We're going to take another quick break, but when we return, we have developments in the Oscar Pistorius story. Be here when we come back to give you national and global news. Stay tuned.
LTV is the place to be. Want to be cool like us, this is the place to be.
Watching shows, gaining knowledge, this show is the best thing a part of this college.
Laced with faces, teach about fun. This place is basically for everyone.
It was cool talking to you, hope you enjoyed our flow. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our show.
Welcome back. Let's see what's going on around the world. McDonald's is looking to turn things around after last quarter's profits for McDonald's fell 30% from the reports last year. The plan is twofold: to provide more customizable options for customers and to also provide more local and regional taste. The company has been testing a customizing program for their sandwiches, which we can predict to see in 2015. In addition, McDonald's is hoping to have local chains provide complimentary of regional identity, meaning certain food items will only be available in certain areas of the country. The iconic hoverboard in the Back to the Future series has finally come to life. Inventors Greg and Jill Henderson have created the Hendo, a $10,000 board with 4 disc space magnets that create an electromagnetic field. The board lifts 1 inch in the air but can only hover over surfaces like copper and aluminum. They hope to make it capable of soaring higher and lifting larger objects. The Hendersons intend for their board to lift homes off the ground during earthquakes to minimize damage. Thanks to a successful Kickstarter campaign, the board should be available starting next October. Oscar Pistorius, the South African amputee Olympic blade runner who found unwanted attention in February for killing his girlfriend Reva Stemkamp, is back to the courts as the lawyers appeal his verdict. Pistorius had believed Stemkamp was an intruder, shooting her through a door before realizing it was his girlfriend. The case has been developing over the past 6 months. As his lawyers appealed his 5-year sentence, Pistorius will likely sit through another 6-month period in and out of courts as the verdict and sentence are evaluated. According to authorities, 3 teenage girls attempted to join ISIS in Syria as a result of Disney-like promises. Claims of nice homes and marriages to wonderful men were made to the terrorists communicating with the young women online. ISIS has used this tactic in the past, preying on young girls and using false promises. 2 sisters, ages 15 and 17, along with their 16-year-old friend, were apprehended in Germany on October 19th. On their way to join the radical group, officials sent them back to their home in Denver. There is no word yet if they will be charged. Amid mounting pressure from the public and media, President Obama named prominent lawyer and former Chief of State member Ron Klan, the Ebola response coordinator on October 17th. Dubbed the Ebola czar by the public and critics, Klan will fill a role of organizing the various departments overseeing the Ebola's outbreak. Klan's response to handling the virus has been criticized by House Republicans who were initially hesitant to the appointment due to the lack of healthcare experience, as well as silence towards a mandatory quarantine put in place for Ebola patients in New York and New Jersey. This move looks to appease those in the medical community who are frustrated at the lack of apparent leadership at the federal level. The total number of confirmed Ebola cases in the United States stays steady at 9. Speaking of Ebola, Steve Graham is sitting down with 2 members of LaSalle student body to discuss how well the nation is handling this disease. Steve?
Thanks, Corey. Welcome to the debate panel. My name is Steve Graham, and today I am joined by Gavin Lichtenstein, our LTV analysis, and Beckett Woodworth, the Vice President of the College Democrats. We are going to discuss the presence of Ebola in this country, a little bit how the United States is handling it, and how the American news media is handling it. So let's get right to it. Let's start off. We now have 9 cases of Ebola in this country, started in Dallas, and it seems like they're working their way towards us. We got a couple cases in New York, a case of a nurse in New Jersey. Gavin, we'll start with you. How do you believe the United States on the federal level is handling this situation?
Well, yeah, I mean, the one thing that I started from the beginning, this issue is not political. You do not need political research, you do not need political strategy to help your citizens, to help your people. Right now, it is spreading across the world. The best thing that the politicians in Washington can do is do whatever it takes to protect U.S. citizens and the spread of this, and really do their share to get the word out of how this is spread. Separating facts from myths and educating the people on how to prevent this deadly disease.
I totally agree with Kevin. I believe that the federal government has been doing all they can in order to address this. It's a difficult problem. They have been educating people. The CDC has sent out many public service announcements about how Ebola is spread, how you can prevent the disease, and basically the impact is very low right now. And the UN actually reported that the impact of Ebola is predicted to almost diminish by the end of the year. So I think the federal government is doing a fine job as it is.
Yeah.
And there really is not much they can do at this moment.
Mentioned earlier, we did story coverage on Dr. Randall Heyer. He came to LaSalle University and spoke on the topic, and he was asked how he believes the country is handling this, and he thinks more of our focus should be overseas and less on the 9 cases here in the States. Do you believe that we're putting too much focus here and we need to, put the fire out where it started?
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing that, we saw it 20 years ago with the spread of the AIDS, is this is an issue that goes back to available resources. This is a disease that's being spread because they don't have the available resources. However we can help to provide resources within our means, whatever we feel comfortable providing, I think that can certainly help. But just like many other issues, we can't go about this alone. We need a universal support from our allies to, if we are going to end this, we are going to have to do it together, because no one can end this issue alone. This has to be a team effort from everyone involved.
Yep, I agree, especially with the United States being one of the richest countries in the world.
Of course.
It's definitely our obligation, our moral duty to help out the developing countries, especially at this time of need. There are only 9 cases in the United States, but there are thousands in Africa. And that's affecting us, and that's affecting the world. And really, we need to help others. I think that's our duty as the United States.
And to expand further on the United States efforts, on October 17th, our President Barack Obama named the Ebola czar, Ron Klain, who some are questioning his background in his role, because the Ebola in the States is being called a health crisis. Yeah. And this is a Harvard lawyer with experience as former chief of staff. Do you guys, either of you can answer first, do you believe that his background is doing the job correctly in his position?
No, I believe that the Ebola czar, or however the media wants to put it, is just one of the many examples how the American media has kind of over-dramatized Ebola. The Ebola czar, his title is basically to be the liaison between the many committees there are to the president. Obama needs a single voice helping him out and giving him advice. And this kind of clears the air and lets him think clearly, especially with his experience as chief of staff. This is just somebody who the president can trust. So I think it's a good decision by him.
And I really think the word czar sets, I really don't think it's the right word, because I don't see him as a czar. And it's not Washington's choices where this is the media's term, but I think people have that negative connotation with the word. And I really think that is hurting him. If we want to talk about background, fine. He personally, I think he is very qualified for this position. And because, I mean, he is a bridge between the healthcare providers, the different systems, and the president. So that is one thing that I think he's doing very well, because he's there to lead. He's there to be that bridge. I think he's doing a great job of that.
And real quick, just to wrap it up, as much, we know in this country, as much as the president's public addresses, and he tells us what's going on, the news media has an effect on how we see situations. How do you think they're covering this situation? Is it, are we worried about it so much because of the media, or are they covering it fairly? Is this a real threat?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, Ebola is frightening. The disease has terrible side effects, and it's right for Americans and the media to be afraid. And I think it's actually good, because you can't really have too little preventions or even too little education about the disease. It's better to be too safe than too sorry.
Well, that is all the time we have. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Hopefully, as the news keeps developing, we can get this virus out of our country. We're going to send it back to Maddie to wrap up the show.
Thanks, Steve. That's all we have time for you this episode. Be sure to find us on the web, as well as the rest of LaSalle TV on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. You can tweet at us at LaSalle TV Philly, or email us your thoughts at lasalletv@lasalle.edu. If you missed the scoop and want to see it, you can find episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/LaSalle56. Until next time, for Steve, Corey, and the entire LTV News crew, I'm Madison Elliott. Never stop exploring.